Thank you very much for coming. We've got Brian Stark with us today, who's a thriller author, and he's here to give us a self-publishing masterclass and an overview of his thriller novels and how you can publish your own work. If you've got any questions, they're okay to just sort of chip in, aren't they?
If it's pertinent to the thing, yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So Brian's going to give us a presentation about his work.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks, Martin. Thanks to the library for doing this. It's my hometown. Brilliant. Today's about self-publishing. Now, I do talks on how you create your novel, how you create your characters, the story arcs, character arcs, and so on. This is not about that. I'm assuming you've done some of that already. And what you've actually got now is some kind of masterpiece, a whole load of words written on pieces of paper that you think is good enough now to then publish. So what I'm looking at here is specifically the mechanics of how any one of you would then take that manuscript and get it into a book, exactly like the books we've got at the back there, exactly like the books we've got here. Okay, so a bit about me. I'm not Ryan Stark. It's all a big flim-flam. My name's Austin. I'm married to Val. I have 2 daughters, 2.5 grandchildren. One's bubbling up nicely, ready for April. I'm Redditch born and bred. I was born in Headless Cross. I spent 40 years as a business analyst. So this was my release from doing that sort of work. It was 1993, I think, when I really started writing in earnest and wasted my time because I didn't know what I was doing. Crime fiction started in 2015 when I figured out I'd been wasting my time and didn't know what I was doing, and I organised it a bit more. And I've been full-time since 2021 when the guys in IT started being silly, and I said, enough. I chose to use a pen name because Austin Gow's published things as part of his business, so non-fiction stuff, which you really wouldn't be interested in. The ABC of network communication, for example, not interested in that. So I chose to use a pen name. Ryan Stark has got 3 Daly and Whetstone crime stories. All 3 are available there. He's got 2 Aidan Beckett thrillers. So he's gone from crime stories in Northwest London, police thrillers, to international espionage thrillers. As of February 2024, 639 paperbacks being sold, 2,261 ebooks being sold, and 1.38 million page reads through Kindle Unlimited. I'll explain that if you don't know what that is later. But they're not the best. I'm not Lee Childs, I'm not LJ Ross, but I've sold some books, and it's all been from a 6x6 bedroom in my house. That's what self-publishing is all about. So those are my current projects. Neither of those are on the desk at the back because they're all on my computer here. An Invisible Murder is the next Daly and Whetstone story. So that's all mapped out. It's just being edited down and put into a format. And we'll show you how to do that later. The next one, Proof of Betrayal, is an idea that hasn't been fleshed out yet. So that's my year's work this year, is to produce those 2. It's a never-ending thing. Once you get one of those books in your hand and you think how shiny and nice it is, you need to do another. But anyway, that's enough about me. I'm going to read some of this out because it's a very small screen, isn't it? We've got 3 different main ways of publishing that we can choose here. We can choose on that right-hand side, traditional publishers, Hodder and Stoughton, HarperCollins, Penguin, and we can query them, look at our lovely manuscript we've got, and they will pick the chosen few because they have a good reason for picking people, and that is they need to sell books. So if you say, hello, I'm Lee Child, I've got a new book, they'll say, we'll snap your arm off because we can sell it on your name alone and make lots of money out of it. So they'll do it for free. And you get anywhere between 4 and 15% of sales as royalties for that. They'll do it through any shop they can. So the online shops, the bricks and mortar shops, the ones in the centre there can order your book because they've got that reach. And they can also determine to have the rights to your book as well. Suddenly you lose control of the book because the big publisher wants it to look like they want it to look. It's got to sell. You also lose creative control. They'll have editors in who might even change the story, some of the characters, change the covers. They want it to sell. That's the whole purpose of the traditional publisher, is to flog books. Then you've got the independent publisher in the middle there. Now that's open to everyone in this room who's got a manuscript who wants to write a book. There's a catch. They will take you, but they will charge you for it. So before you even publish your book, it's not free. You're spending anywhere between £2,000 and around £8,000 per book just for them to publish it. And then in return, they will give you back somewhere between 15 and 65% of the royalties for it. Because, well, let's face it, you've already paid them. They don't need the money now, do they? They go through the online and bricks and mortar just like anybody else, in the bookshops, online, at Amazon, wherever. You do retain the rights to your books for most of these. So suddenly you haven't lost it. You haven't suddenly had a character called Jed who's come in that you know nothing about. They haven't suddenly cut out Catherine, who you know nothing about. You do have creative control over your book to a certain degree. But again, what they're trying to do is sell the book. So they will offer some marketing support. They will do the Twitters, they will do the Facebooks, they will do the adverts, the radio commercials. But each of those two have got a vested interest. They want to sell books. So if you suddenly come across an independent publisher who has just got the big deal, they will flog the big deal before they flog you. Quick story, there used to be a band called the Mean Street Dealers in Birmingham. They released their album on the same day as Crowded House released their album with the same record company. They didn't get any publicity whatsoever. So they released it again on the same day. UB40 released an album with the same record company. So twice they'd re-released the album. They didn't get any publicity because the point was to sell albums. They weren't interested in the small guy who had no visibility in the marketplace. So with those two, traditional publishers need to make money. Independent publishers want to make money. So we then left with our self-publishing. Now our goal in self-publishing is to have a book. It's not to make money. I mean, it's a lovely thing. It's great. It's got pages and everything, and I did all of that. That's the reason you do self-publishing. It doesn't cost anything, a few quid here and there to self-publish. Everything you need is free. Typical royalties can be up to 20%. I'll show you some costs and stuff a bit later on. A distribution is mainly online. I say mainly because there are other ways to distribute. I distribute through Amazon. If you go onto Amazon and you look for my books, they're there, you can buy them. But so can Waterstones. Waterstones can go to Amazon and buy them if they want to. And I sold a book last week that a distributor had bought because somebody had walked into a shop and asked for it. So there is a way to get to real customers. But virtually everything I sell is through Amazon. I do retain the rights to the book. I can do what the heck I like with that book. And I will show you some of the things that happened during my learning process a bit later on. And I do retain creative control. If I want to put Jed in, if I want to take Catherine out, I can do that. It's my book. Because I haven't got that main drive of having to sell the books. I want to, and I do, but that's not my main drive behind it. Marketing support, no, none, zip, zilch. Do it yourself or don't do it at all. Yeah? So if you want to go a little bit further than having a book, a really nice book in your hands, you have to put a lot of effort into doing that. And it is a lot of effort. So self-publishing, think about it in the generic sense. Self-publishing books are inferior. Or cheap people, they do self-publishing. The big people don't touch self-publishing. Why would they do anything like that? That's for those people down there. Well, that's a self-published author. That's a self-published books. Dark Skies Publishing, she owns that company, her and her husband out the back bedroom. It's a real, proper book. And she makes millions a year. She's not inferior. Her stories are good, people like them. She does self-publishing. On the other hand, cover up the name, that's also self-published. The lady's got no legs. The tanks and things were drawn by a grandchild. The pages don't even look like proper pages from a book. They lose all the headers and footers on them. So that's self-published too. You have to decide where you are and how much effort you want to put into getting it like that and not like that. Yeah? You're going to see that crop up all the way through here. It's for amateurs. No one will take me seriously. Well, yes, they blinking well will. If you start selling the books, if you start getting the reviews, they'll take you seriously. And then all of a sudden they start knocking at the doors. I've had a publisher turn me down this last week. And they turned me down because the books they publish are half as thick as that. They do exactly the same as I do here, but they want the thin books because there's less printing costs and they make more profit out of it. So they turned me down simply because my book is exactly the same as every other book on the market, that thick. And it was too thick for them. Yeah? It's a way to get rich quick. Yeah, that's why I've got a Rolls Royce parked outside. Yeah. No, it isn't a way to get rich quick. Don't approach this for the money. This is about getting your book out there and enjoying what you're doing. It's easy, anyone can do it. Well, yeah, I think it is easy, anyone can do it. You need a little bit of computer skills here and there, or you need somebody who's got the computer skills, but it's only a little bit. There are ways around some of these things. And it's open to anyone. I think there are a few international drug smugglers and gangland leaders and maybe even some politicians who it's not open to, because Amazon might say, don't want to do this with you. But yes, it's open to anybody else. Probably even prisoners who write their life story while they're in prison. They can do this if they want to. So every one of the people in this room could self-publish if they wanted to. I retain control of my work. True, absolutely true. If I want to change a word, if I find a spelling mistake, if I want to change the cover, it's down to me to do it. I can do it. Anytime I like. It takes about 72 hours to rattle out to the market after you've made a change. That's all. So I've got complete control over this. But, as we've seen, self-publishing books may be seen as inferior. It's for amateurs. The most important thing, quick anecdote. I worked for British Aerospace, who made the wings for the Airbuses. I went into a lottery at work and I was lucky enough to win a place on a plane down to Toulouse where they bolt the wings to the fuselage to make the airplanes. We goes down there and I'm with 4 or 5 people who've also won the lottery to go down there. And a guy sticks his hand up, looks underneath the wing and says, I remember doing that dodgy rivet. This is an aircraft, dodgy rivet. Now, what they say over the top of the wing assembly frameworks is quality is built in, not inspected in. It's not up to somebody to find the dodgy rivet. It's up to him to know he's done it badly, take it out and do it again. This is all about quality. You can either be like that. Look, that's really nice, isn't it? The way they've shaded that so that you can see all the words on it. And they haven't put any headers and footers. You can be like that. Or you can be like that. Look at that cover going all the way around. Nice cover. Gold inlay this has got. She's taken the time and trouble to put gold inlay. It's got headers and footers. The pages look right. The font is right. It's readable. Taken the time and trouble to do it. Which is what I've done. And there's a really good way to find out how to get that attention to detail. And there's about 10,000 of them out there. Just go and look at books. You don't have to read them, but you can look at them and see how they are. Even put your rule on them and measure them if you want to. There's always a way to find out, and that's free. So you're sitting here, and I've just told you anyone in this room can do this. There's a few things you need before you can do it. You need a computer. One of them boxes over there will do, or one of these boxes. Any computer will do. It doesn't have to be a PC, it doesn't have to be a Mac, it can be either, because all this software works on both of them. And you probably use it anyway. If you're even serious about writing, you will be using a computer to type up your manuscript. So you've probably already got a good enough computer for it. You do not want to use a phone. No, not a phone. No, no. They're little, you can't see them, you upgrade them, you lose them, the software changes on them. Don't use a phone. Yeah? I say there at the end, biggest screen you can afford. Not this big, you don't have to go this big. I've got two very big screens, but the little screens on this laptop is all right if I'm out in a coffee shop, but it's no good if I'm sitting there at home for a whole day's work, squinting into this little screen. You can get a 21-inch screen for 25, 30 quid. Yeah, because offices are getting rid of them all the time. Software. Well, computers have software. You've probably already got MS Word. You've certainly got access to Google Docs. Yeah, it's free, it's online. You can write your stuff in that. You're probably already doing that. Pages is the specific word processor for Apple Macs. But there are any number of different word processors. I'm not precious about what you do. You need to get to an end result, and I'll tell you about the end result in a bit. I use a specific manuscript writing application. This one here, I should have one of those little pens with the laser on it, shouldn't I? Specific writing application I use is something called Scrivener. What that allows me to do is to put my text into a nice outlined format so I can see the story happening. And it allows me to then compile it into the final document so that it looks right. But that's $49 or something. Still not a lot, but I bought that. If you've got MS Word, you can use it, as we'll see in a minute. You need an image manipulation program, and I'm going to say it just once, only once, GIMP. It's GNU Image Manipulation Program. It's free, it's on the internet, and it allows you to do pictures like that and that. And if you don't want to try, it'll probably allow you to do a picture like that as well. Yeah. So GIMP, Photoshop, and Amazon actually give you one called Kindle Cover Creator if you want to use it. I've never used it. It's okay. It does book covers, but it's probably more like the worst one than the best one. But it's free. You will need the Kindle Create application. That's the bit that takes your text and makes it into an ebook that you can then put onto Amazon. You'll need that. It's free. And you'll need the online applications like Kindle Direct Publishing's online application. It's free. You'll need templates, a manuscript template. So your 150 pages of A4 can then be made to look like the interior of a book. It's free. Amazon give you that. You'll need a cover template. Guess what I'm going to say? It's free. Yeah, you just need to go through the help. You just need to know how big you want your book to be, because these are all different sizes. As long as you know how big your book is, you'll get a template to allow you to do this. It's free. And then you need lots of tea, coffee, biscuits, cake, music, and peace and quiet. You can never get enough of that until your kids leave. And then you've got rooms full of empty space. I'm not going to write the books. I'm not going to tell you how to write your books. That's something that I cover in a different talk that I give. I'm assuming you've got your story. You've got the start, the middle, the end. You've been through it. You've read it. It's all fine. You need to format it to look like the inside of a book. It's got to have the right page sizes and margins. So this one, don't quote me on this, I won't remember. That's a 6x9 book. I believe that one, it's 5x8, but it's slightly different. In there, you've got lots of things going on. So you've got your headers and your footers. So my header's got the title over this side and the author name over that side, and the page numbers. It's got a margin on the page there, and it's got a gutter down the middle. So you're looking at two pages at once. You just need to know. Guess what? They give you a template, it's free. Yeah. So you can do this without even having to know that, as long as you know how big your book's got to be. 6x9, 5x8, those sorts of things. It's free. If you're making a paperback, this is an Amazon thing. They want a PDF. PDF, I think it's PostScript document format, if my memory serves me right, from 1980s. PDF is what everything comes through on the internet. You can't edit it. You can just read it in Adobe. Yeah. If you've got Word, if you've got Scrivener, if you've got Google Docs, they'll all save a PDF. You just press, I want it as a PDF. You don't have to know what it is. You just have to save it as a PDF. Yeah? If you're using Word, you will always save it as a doc or a docx, depending on your version of Word. That's how Word saves its documents. When you press save, you get a mydocument.doc or something like that. You don't need to do any work for the ebook at all because Amazon will accept that as it is. But the most important thing about a manuscript, and you see Quality Matters comes up, it's got to be fully written. No spelling mistakes, no grammar mistakes, put your full stops in, get your commas right. Everything has to be in the right order, in the right place, because this is it. You're responsible for this. It also has to be fully edited. No, don't give it to your school child to read. Don't give it to your wife to read, because they'll sit in bed going all night and you won't get any sleep. Give it to somebody else who doesn't know about it to read. Get them to read it through. Get them to talk about it. Get them to edit it down for you. Even find somebody who's a teacher or whatever, an English teacher who can do the editing for you. Or employ an editor if you want to spend some money. They're all there on Fiverr. I've got a link to Fiverr in the resources later on. But you can get editors who will do this for you, and you pay them. You can pay them anywhere between £150 and £1,000 to edit this book. If you've got other people who can do this for you, who've got a reasonable standard of education, why not use them instead? Yeah. And then you read it again just to check they got it right. Proofread. Proofread is just not an editor, just somebody who's going to read your book as a third party, not your wife, not your kids, but somebody who's going to read your book and comment on it and say, yes, this is okay to go out. No, it's not. I think you need to do this with it. I've read it, it's boring. I've read it, it's great. Somebody who can go through it, and when they give it you back, they've got hardly anything to say. As long as they've got nothing to say, we're okay. Yeah. But a manuscript is only finished when it's fully written, fully edited, and fully proofread. Down to us. But we need to think about the cover as well. We've seen the cover here. What the cover here is a piece of cardboard that's wrapped around the book. And all that is pages in between, which are a different material. So that's the interior. And then the cover is the cardboard that goes around it. We've got to think about that. For a paperback, because it's a physical object, we need the back, the front, and the spine down the edge. But if it's an ebook and it's on your little ebook reader, all you have is the front cover. So there's different criteria depending on whether you want to do both of those. So the paperback, hardback cover, front, back, spine. Again, in this PDF format, guess what? Save as a PDF. We've done that job. So if we create our own covers, we save it as a PDF and we're away. Or we can go online, and there are people who do your cover design for you who will provide you with that PDF. You tell them what you want. They'll go through a design process with you, discussing covers they've made and how they suit your book. And you buy one. And you can buy it from anywhere. I've seen them as low as £5. Please don't touch the £5 ones. Up to around about £400, £500. But for 45 quid, you can get a decent one. So now if you do your editing at 150 and you do that at 45, £200, it's still not prohibitive if you want to go that route. But you can do it all yourself. I do. I did that myself. I did all those myself. Above all, we've got that quality sticker again. It must be professional. It must be relevant. It must be so professional that you don't trim the lady's legs off below her skirt and you don't have toy cars driving around. You want more than that. So that's where a library comes in. They've got thousands of professionally drawn covers out there. Just go and have a look at a few. See which ones fit the type of book you're doing and copy them. Just change a few things to make it look good for you. That's what everybody else does. You only have to look at all the books that have come after Richard Osman's books. They all look exactly the same cursive writing, the same little animal, the same board around the edge. Everyone copies everybody else. No big deal. It's got to be appropriate. So we don't want any axe murderers on a children's book. We don't want any special time people on the front of a book. Amazon won't publish it. No guns, no bullets, no nothing like that. It won't get published. And it has to be relevant to the book. So if you've got a crime thriller, make it a crime thriller book. Make it a crime thriller cover. Don't make it flowers in a garden. It's beautiful. People don't want that. They won't recognize it when they read the book. This cover template is a PDF. We've talked about PDFs. It's just a standard format that everybody has that you can save from your word processor or whatever. Amazon have saved a whole load of these in their help. Show you where those are in a minute. You take that PDF and you use that as a guide to doing your cover. Interesting thing about this PDF is it shows you a big white space for the back, a big white space for the front, and in between you've got the big white space for the spine. If you put your pictures and your words in those spaces, it'll be absolutely fine. Brilliant. Okay, I'll show you that later as well. But if you notice also, you've got a red bit. You've got a red bit around the spine, you've got a red bit all the way around the edges. The purpose of that red bit is say, don't put anything important in here, please. And then you've got a dotted line. The dotted line along the spine is where it's going to be folded. You don't want to have writing on the fold. Don't put anything on that dotted line. And you've got a dotted line all the way around the outside. Don't put anything here, because when we print your book, we're going to shear it off with our guillotines to make it into the right size. And if you've got something outside that dotted line, you won't see it. They've done all the work for you to allow you to draw this cover and get a cover that fits and has everything you want. The final thing is that yellow box, there. That yellow box is where they're going to put their special barcode when they sell the book. There's one there. He's got one. She will have one. There it is. Just so you've got the number, the ISBN, the International Standard Book Number on your book. If you put My Ugly Mug underneath there, nobody's going to see it. It'll have a barcode over the top of it. If you put your, this is my Twitter address under there, nobody's going to see it. It's got a barcode over it. So you have to avoid that. So let's have a look, shall we? There's the cover you see there. Fitted into that, it's got a front image, and you can see where the image bleeds. The word bleed is used where the picture goes off the edge of the page. It bleeds off the edge of the page. You've got it bleeding out to the edge of the page over the red, and that's sacrificial. I know I'm going to lose that. It doesn't matter to me that I'm going to lose that. It's not important. But Ryan Stark, Daily and Whetstone Crime Story, Killing by the Book, the main guy sitting on the railway tracks, is all in that space. The spine, exactly the same. Everything that needs to be in the spine is in the white bit. The back, exactly the same. And I peeked out from behind that barcode box to make sure I'm not covered up. So using that template, which they give you, if you go look for it and you know the size of your book, you pick the right template, you'll get that. You can design a cover that fits it. Top tip from me is if you're physically doing your own cover design, keep that template as one of the layers so you can bring it to the front and just compare that everything works, everything fits all the time as you're doing it. So then you get a book cover that looks like that. The template's gone, we don't care about that, we've erased that, we finished with that, and we've got our book cover, and we can now see how that folds around the book. It's not hard, it requires attention. Takes quite a long time. Guess what? The ebook cover can use the same cover. We don't need the back and we don't need the spine. So we can just trim them off. Remember, we're talking about what's in that dotted line. So let's just put the front cover in that dotted line. So I didn't do any work at all, apart from going in, select, crop, save. 2 minutes, the very most. And you can see it all fits still in that box because it's exactly the same picture. We're not interested in the barcode, we're not interested in the back or the spine. It's just that ebook now. I'll leave you with that. Have a look at that. Did you? I did. Every single time I've looked at that, I've read that first, then I read that, then I read that, then I went up to there. It's a graphic designer's tool. They're saying, if I construct my cover using this as a principle with my important thing in the middle, you'll read it first. If I've got some rubbish on the front, like my tagline, which really doesn't matter to sell it, I'll stick it right at the top there. Doesn't matter. So, did I do it? Well, no, I didn't. That's my first cover for Killing by the Book. It's a load of rubbish. Why is it a load of rubbish? Well, it's some bland picture. It's got another picture and another picture, and it's got little writing on it, and it's not a particularly good font, and it didn't sell. Nobody looked at it. Like when you go into a furniture shop and you don't see the suite you don't like. You always look at the one you do like. So I thought, months and months later, while I'm doing all the work, what sells? So I went to that. There's a great one. This is a crime thriller. It says live in Roman numerals, and this is about killing people. That's good, isn't it? They'll all get that one, won't they? Again, we've got, you'll see this first, Killing by the Book. Then you'll see that, a Daly and Whetstone crime story. And third, you'll see Ryan Stark, because you're not interested in him, you're interested in the title of the book. Didn't sell. Didn't sell at all. So we went back to our church cover, but we made it more dynamic. So Killing by the Book pops out. But guess where it is? It's in the wrong place now. Because I hadn't got that simple map that told me where I should be putting things. It didn't sell. It sold better than the other two, but it didn't sell. Why didn't it sell? Killing by the Book. What, is that killing by the Bible? Killing by the Quran? Killing by the Torah? Is this a religious book? Is this about a religious nutcase? Is this a religious text? I don't want to buy that. That's not going to be interesting to me as a fiction work. So I ditched the church altogether, and I went for that. It features in the story. What have we got right in the middle? You will read this first. We've got a guy sitting on a railway track with a red top popping out. I wanted people to see that first. The next thing they see is Killing by the Book. They've seen a guy sitting on the railway track, killing by the book. There's no doubt what this book is about. And then at the top, we've got Ryan Stark and Daly and Whetstone. Read that if you want to. So that's the process we went through to create that cover. I went through. And that's what we ended up with. But there's more books over there. So what we actually did was use that style and mapped it across. And you can see the new book at the end follows the same style all the way across. We've got a brand coming out. Yeah, we can do all this because creative control. If I wanted to get somebody on Fiverr to do a book cover like that, I'd probably pay about £100. And then I'd say to him, he or she, can you do me another one? And can you do me another one? Can you do me another one? And they'll keep your style going all the way along. I'm pretty sure LJ Ross does that. She's got a tame artist company who will just carry her brand through. That second one, The Farm, I know Lexi's read The Farm. That's Back End Farm at Beerley. I took that photo. It doesn't look like that in my photo. It looks like that after I finished with it. That's not my BMW. And that's not my house at the end. It's certainly not my gun in the third one. So the other thing we have to think about here is if we're trying to sell a book, we have to market it to people. And I want to sell my books. It's great having them here, but I've got other things to consider. When I go onto Amazon, Amazon gives you a whole load of searches that you can do to find stuff. It gives you a whole load of categories that you can browse through to find stuff. So if, for example, like I was the other day, funnily enough, you were looking for TDK C90 tapes. You know they're cassette tapes. You know they're from the 1970s. You can't get them anymore. I have to then go through all departments, audiovisual, recording media, and then I might get tapes. So there's a category system that we have to go through to find it. I need to put my book in the appropriate category system for my type of book. And then there's a search at the top. If I'm looking for TDK C90 cassette tapes, I would put in TDK C90 cassette tapes. I might put in 1980s recording media. I might put in C90 cassette. I could put in a whole variety of different words, and they're called keywords. They're the things that Amazon, in its infinite wisdom, then uses to go and find the things that you want to see. So it matches them up. Categories and keywords. When you set your book up, you can choose 3 categories. There's about 10 or 12 of them behind the scenes that Amazon works out for you. But I chose Kindle books, crime thriller mystery, crime fiction, British and Irish, English. That's what that book's about. And I chose 2 others, so I just chose pretty much the same, da-di-da-di-da, financial, da-di-da-di-da, serial killers, because that's what the book's about. And if you go onto Amazon, and you go right the way down to there, see the category structure? It leads you pretty well down to where my book is. And my book's on about the 3rd page because there are much better authors than me in that category, unfortunately. I have to get better than Peter James or Mark Billingham or all the others. So you can see that what I put in when I put my book onto Amazon, and I'll show you that in a minute, directly reflects what people look for when they go on Amazon to get it noticed. Keywords, I just said that, yeah. If I were to search for a book, if I were to search for a tape, if I was to search for pet food, if I were to search for light bulbs, what would I put into the search to get it? Now, it's not always as straightforward as you think. If you put in pet bowl miniature poodles, because you've got a miniature poodle that needs a pet bowl, you don't always get pet bowls come up. That's because people try to fake the system. They try to frig the system, make it work differently for them. And sometimes Amazon has figured out that when people want dog bowls, they don't actually want to put dog bowls in the title. Feeding appliances for canines, for example, that wants to get them to dog bowls too. So your keywords are quite important. Now, when you put your book onto Amazon, they allow you 7 spots. They say 7 keywords. It's not. It's 7 strings of 50 characters. That's important to note. I don't want to put Killing by the Book in. It's already got that. That's the title. I don't want to put Ryan Stark in. It's already got that. I don't want to put Daly and Whetstone crime stories. It's already got that. And if you put Ryan Stark Killing by the Book in the search, you would get my book. But I'm looking for the people who don't know me, who want to find my book. So, Unputdownable Thriller Detective Series. How did I get that? There's a very clever guy out there who knows all about this stuff. Gripping Murder Mystery Detective Stories. Yeah, that'll fit. Police Procedural Crime in Progress book. Da-di-da-di-da, all the way along. So they're books that intimate what type of book my book is, for those people who don't know the title. Okay, now let's take Page Turning, Suspense, Secret, Sinister Twist. If you put that in, you get my book come up. Why? Because I put it in as a keyword and somebody typed it in. And now there's a lot of people doing a lot of work on exactly what you put in those keywords so that your book gets seen. They're cleverer than I am. They've got a program. I bought the program. That one cost me $49 again, and it's really, really good. I'll put the links further down in this, and you can get the links after this. So I've got categories to position myself in that huge database of Amazon, and I've got keywords so that people can search and find it in that database of Amazon. They'll be different for hardback and paperback, because the paperback books are in books, whereas the Kindle ebooks are in Kindle books, so different categories. They're also different between countries. If you're having an English book, stay with me, if you're having an English book in Japan, it's different from having a Japanese book in Japan. So you use different categories and different keywords for it. The keywords and categories have to be relevant to the book, because Amazon can change the categories and will do if it wants to. If it thinks you're trying to flim-flam, they will change the categories for you. They may even refuse to show the book. They might block you. And that's a big no-no. That's one of the people that can't do this, the people that have been blocked. The algorithm is key. You will not beat the algorithm. The algorithm is the enormously complicated program that they have to decide how to do all this stuff. It's taken a lot of people, a lot of time, hideous amount of coffee to get this right. And it changes as everything in the world changes. You will never beat the algorithm. Work with it. So we've done all that. We've got all that rubbish out of the way. Am I ready to self-publish? Well, a finished manuscript, checked and ready. Well, yeah, we've checked it. We're ready. We've proofread it. It's all there. Cover artwork. Well, yeah, we're doing a paperback, so we've got our cover artwork all done, and we've got the ebook artwork all done. We've thought about our categories and keywords. We know what those are now. We know roughly what we're going to do. Remember, we retain control. We can change these later if it doesn't work. Back cover blurb. We haven't really touched on back cover blurb, but that's back cover blurb. Yeah, so it's the stuff that says, peril, 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 will they succeed? Yeah, that sort of thing. But there's also Amazon's blurb. We saw that there. So that's the Amazon blurb there. You can't read it because this is a picture. But it's the stuff on Amazon when you go and look at a book that says, peril, 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 buy this book. And there's ways of writing that. And there's loads of articles on the internet about how you write that. It's about above the fold and below the fold, like on a newspaper. If the newspaper's folded in half and it's put in the stand at the newsagent, and it says, hideous rail crash, you'll want to buy it. But if it says hideous rail crash on the back, you won't. Yeah? So it's about that. And there's loads of articles on the internet that you can read, and they're really interesting about how people have gone through that. You need to have an account with Amazon and KDP if you're publishing through them. That goes without saying. It's a simple sign-up procedure. But the last thing to do is, you really need to seriously sit down and say, am I ready to market my books? Where am I? Quality matters. Again, you're ready. Go check it all again. Yeah, just one last time, just for me, because you almost certainly won't be ready. I'm going to quit this just for a minute or so and show you that. That is in Word. That is a manuscript that has been shortened. I've taken out most of the chapters for this purpose. But that's a manuscript. It's got its margins. It's got its headers and footers. This is a front page, so it doesn't have a header on that one. But as we go down, it's got the books that I've done. It had the dedication there. I really should learn how to go page up at a time, shouldn't I? So it's got the dedication. It's got the copyright page and the title page. Note that there's left-hand pages and right-hand pages here, just like there is in the book. The interesting thing about a book is that every single chapter starts on the right-hand page. So if the previous chapter isn't long enough, I think chapter 2 isn't long enough, you need to put a blank page in to make the chapter start on the right-hand page. So I do all that in my word process. There's Word doing it. And the other thing to note about that is that because it's a left-hand page and a right-hand page, this is the right-hand page. Word, Microsoft is always awkward somehow. That's the right-hand page. That bit there is the gutter. So that disappears into where they stick the pages together. So it's slightly wider. On this page, that's the outside, that's the gutter. So this and that match. Those match. Got to get these things right. This is where the quality comes in. This is where checking it comes in. But they do give you a bit of help on that later, and you can go back and rectify your mistakes. So all is not lost. So, where am I? That's our manuscript, and it goes all the way down into chapters, acknowledgements. I'm not going to show you anymore because you don't want to know how that book ends. Don't save that. And then we're talking about PDFs. That's a PDF of the same file. I just went in, save as PDF. Now what a PDF is the same document with the same text in, the same margins, the same paragraphs, the same empty pages, but they've stripped out all the Microsoft stuff that's going to cock it all up when we try and publish it. If you try and publish a Word document through this process, you will fail. If you put pictures in, you will fail because Microsoft doesn't do things the way everybody else does it. But saving as a PDF makes it a standard format that everybody can use. It's what's called a final form text in computing jargon. Nothing changes it. That's what it is. Yeah? Always save as a PDF if you're in doubt because it doesn't get changed or messed around with. And that's the important thing here. And it's exactly the same book. It's only showing one page, but yeah, it's exactly the same thing. There it is. Exactly the same, because it was from the same document. So we've got those two. We also want to create our ebook. This is just a piece of software that's loading up in the background. I hope. Soon find out, won't we? Yeah, there it is, bouncing. There you go. This is a free program. If you go to Amazon, if you search for KDP or Kindle Create, you will find this program. Now I'm going to absolutely bamboozle you and blind you with high-end IT computer technology. Feel free to fall asleep. You click on Choose, Create New. You choose Reflowable because that's what Kindles do. They just let the pages flow how they want to. So you leave it exactly how it is. And then you click on Continue. You put a book title in, which is my book. You put an author name in, which is me. And you put a publisher in if you've got one, which is anything you like. And then it says choose the file. So you're going to go and choose the file. Guess what we're going to choose? The one I've just shown you. And if we then open that, let it do its stuff. This is only 3 chapters long, so it's not going to take a long time. Bang, it's done it. So what it's done now, after a few little chats to you, is it's put your book into a Kindle format that you can use online. You can sell it. It's not complete. We have to do a little bit of work on it. For example, up there, it's telling us these are all the things I found which are like titles and headings in our book. Can you tell me which ones are the actual chapters, please? Well, I know what they are. They're called Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3. But it doesn't know because it's not that clever. So I can de-tick the ones that aren't actual chapters. See how complicated this is? It's just phenomenally IT, isn't it? When I accept that, you can see it said, I know what the chapters are now. I don't know what this lot is. You'll need to tell me about that. And all you do there is right-click on it, convert to front matter. Because Ryan Stark is the pen name of was one of those front pages in my book. And if I then go and do that for every one of those dots, for the bottom ones, I do convert paper back page matter. It's now talking about the pages, I don't think oh yes I have, the pages at the back of the book which aren't part of the text. So that's the incredibly complicated process to get your manuscript into a Kindle ebook. It wasn't that complicated at all, as it happens. I'm not going to do the rest because that would just take up too much time. What we can then do is we can obviously save it, which is always a good thing to do. We can then preview it. So it will preview that in a Kindle on the screen so we know roughly what it looks like. And there you are, it's all there. And then we can get rid of that. And we can export it. The export to 2 things. EPUB is what everybody else uses. But KPF is what we want. The one it's already got ticked. Don't even need to change that box. No IT required whatsoever. Just export it. And here's a name. Let's keep that name. Wow. Okay, fair enough. You're ready to publish. So it's done that work. Now, I think that took about 5 minutes. And I was talking to you at the same time. That's how easy it is to get your manuscript to a document that you can then put online. Okay, so that will sit there. There it is, in a folder, sitting waiting for us to put online. I will then go back into my presentation, where we left off. So, yes, I'm ready to publish. I've got my artwork, I've got my cover artwork, I've done my Kindle Create thingy bob, and I've got my little KPF file, I've got my PDF file, so I know I can do all this stuff now. Am I prepared? Well, you know what? I've got to market this thing afterwards, but we'll worry about that later. I don't know why that keeps coming up. There you go. So we've created our ebook via Kindle Create. We already have the paperback version as a PDF. Now we've got to open KDP. The sign-on process, I've already done that. I did that 10 years ago or something like that. But it's very, very simple. You sign in, you give it an email address, a password, and all those sorts of things. and it will ask for your bank account details. So what I do is I make it a different bank account from my main bank account, so they can have the details and it doesn't matter to me. But that's so they can pay you. We all like that, don't we? Yep. So I'm not going to do it through here. I've already done it down in the bottom here somewhere. That's what you want there. That's my Kindle Direct Publishing dashboard. If I were to create a brand new book, I'd push that big create button at the top. Okay, that's what I have to do. I'm not going to create a new book. What I'm going to do is show you how you would put the books in from what I've already got. We'll go into this first book here. There's all the rest of the books. Look there, they're all in there. If you go into paperback and you go over to these menus here, I don't want to order an author copy, but here I've got a whole list of other things. This, sorry, I should be looking at my screen really. This gives you, broadly speaking, 3 tabs that you have to fill in. These are the actual tabs for the book that's published over there. I can't change them because it's been published, but when you put them in, you'll be able to change them. You put in your language, mine's in English. You put in your book title, Killing by the Book. Yeah, it's on the front, we know what that is. A subtitle. Well, my books don't have a subtitle. They don't need one. I've put them as part of a series. You don't have to do that if you're just publishing one book. You don't have to even fill that in. I don't have an edition number. It's the first edition. I'm not expecting several, so I'll just leave it as 0. My author name, I've chosen Ryan Stark. I'm logged on as Austin Gower here, but I've chosen my author name. Yep. There are no contributors. This isn't a scientific project. I haven't had loads of people working with me to do this. It's just my book. But I could put any other people that have been involved in this, just like Richard Osman does with the 50-odd people that helped him produce his book at the back of his books. There's that description I was talking about that appeared on Amazon as its blurb. There's a little WYSIWYG editor, so you can just type it in, make it bold, italics, whatever you like. And that's what's going to come up when people find your book and start reading it. And you've got to say you own the publishing rights, or you're using something that doesn't have publishing rights, like a 14th century manuscript or something like that. They're going to use that. This is really important. They will do a plagiarism check on it. So if you think you're going to be really, really clever and just get the latest book from Margaret Atwood and copy it and change the names, you won't get it published because they can do that sort of check. It talks about your primary audience. There's nothing sexually explicit in mine. The odd few snogs here and there, but nobody's worried about that sort of thing. And the minimum age I put as 18 plus. I often wonder whether I should move that down to 14 because of the sort of book it is. It's not going to offend too many people unless they hate serial killers in fiction. My primary marketplace, I can choose lots of marketplaces all the way around the world. Well, I've got Germany, France, Spain, Italy, Netherlands, Poland. Getting stuck, going to give it up. So I can choose what my primary marketplace is. I'm in England. I'll choose Great Britain, UK as my primary marketplace. I sell in the UK, the US, Canada, and Australia. I've sold in Japan and Germany as well. But that all comes later. Our primary marketplace, what we're going to centre it on, is the UK. There's those, sorry, get off. There's those categories we were talking about. That's where you put those in. We've thought about those. We've given them a lot of thought. We've gone on to Amazon and we've checked where the books that are like ours are. So we know what categories those are going to be. And there's our keywords. We went through a big discussion with that. We went on to Kindlepreneur. We talked to Brian, whatever his name is, and he gave us lots of advice on how we should format these. We know what goes in there. Just bang them in. You can set your publication date. Mine was set for, it's in American format, the 15th of December 2015 when this book came out, and I released it on the same day. I didn't have any staggering or anything like that. Didn't do anything silly. And then with all that, what we call in computer jargon, metadata sorted, we can go on to putting our book in, because the book hasn't been put in yet. I'm not going to save it, obviously. Now we need to put the paperback in. We've got our paperback, we've done it all, we've got that PDF, and we've got the covers. That's all we need. It will give us an ISBN number if we're selling on Amazon. We don't have to go through all this process of finding ISBNs, which every book has to have. They will give us one free if we're publishing through Amazon. Job's a good one. If you wanted to buy your own, if you were thinking of selling it through bookshops, you could buy your own. And there are places that will sell you 100 of them for 100 quid or something like that. But we don't need that. We'll just use that one. They used it along with my log on to verify that I am really who I am. Scout's Honour. And then it talks about print options. What do you want your paperback book to look like? You can see this one here is on creamy paper of a slightly more coarse quality. This one here is on white paper of good quality. I made the wrong choice. I should have gone for that one. But, well, you know what? We all live and learn, don't we? So we can choose between black and white with a cream interior, like that one, or we can choose black and white with a white paper interior. There are no colour pictures. It's all black and white. Or we can choose a colour interior with white paper or a premium colour interior with white paper. Guess what? Depending what you choose, the price to print it goes up. So if I'd have chosen the first one, I'd have probably saved myself a few pennies each time one of these books is printed. My trim size, do you remember when I showed you the template? It had 6x9. I chose 6x9 for the book. It matches, that's what we want. You can choose other sizes. It won't let me do it because this book's already on there. Bleed settings. We talked about bleed, where the picture is actually bigger than the page it's on, so a little bit is lost off the edge. Well, the same can be true if you've got pictures or text in there. You might have a picture that runs off. Tolkien's got maps that run off the edge of the page. That's bleed. So you need to tell it if you've got bleed. If you're doing it with PDF, job's a good one because it takes care of all that anyway. And then we need to say what finish do we want on our paperback. Do we want the matte one, which LJ Ross prefers, or do we want the glossy one that shines? I chose the glossy one. Then, ta-da, upload your manuscript. Simple as that. So you press the upload button, which I am not going to do anything with. You find it, which I think I'll get on the desktop, presentation, and there it is. There's our sample manuscript. So I could press that and upload it. And the wheel would spin for about a minute or so while it checked it and made sure it was all right. And it would say, thank you, got it. So this takes a little bit of thinking about, but it's not complicated. I think that's what I got from it. It's not overly complicated. Anyone can do it. Anyone who's got a son in IT can do it. Yeah? Then I need to choose the book cover. Guess what? I could use their cover create program to create one if I wanted to. Or if I've already got one, I could use that one. Well, I've already got one, so I'll upload that one, thank you very much. Again, it goes back, asks for the PDF, uploads it. It then does a little bit of, it has a little bit of a discussion with itself, because now you've got the cover, now you've got the book. Will that actually physically make a paperback when I'm finished? Is it going to make a paperback that doesn't offend our customers? Is it going to make a paperback that we're happy with? So that takes, on average, on my home computer, that's taken anything up to 5 minutes to do. But 5 minutes is nothing in this. You've spent months making this book. It asks you about AI-generated content. Well, no. There are fundamental IT reasons why I don't use AI. And that is because AI is made up of the thoughts of everybody that's ever done anything on computers. There's no creativity to it. It's just what everybody else has thought and put together. And then you will need to do this. It won't let you go any further if you don't launch that previewer. This does take a little bit. I usually grab my water, and as soon as I grab my water, it finishes. You can see the bars going across the top. Now that's helpful, isn't it? You see those dotted lines? They look exactly like the template that we had before. We've got the outer part of the template, the white line, which is the extent of that pink bit that we had before. We've got the dotted line, that's where the guillotine is going to chop it off. And we can see everything now fits in the cover they're going to use. This is how their printers are going to look at it and print it. But more than that, we've got the other pages in as well. You've actually got 357 pages because this is the full book. And you can browse through them to your heart's content to make sure they all fit where they should do, to give you a book that looks like that. And then when you've done it, I'm not going to, but you would click approve. And that means, well, on your own head be it now, we're going to print it like that. I'm going to exit that preview because I really don't want to do that. So what it's then done, it said, well, okay, if you had a book like that with those covers, with that sort of page, it's going to cost you that much to print, £4.42. I have to sell it for £4.43 to make more than the print costs. We ain't going that low, so we don't have to worry about that. The next step we have to do is say, well, how much am I going to sell it for? If I want people to buy it on the internet, you're going to pay more than you would if you went over to Val and bought it there. I want you on the internet to pay a fixed price, which is comparative to other books. Fairly good. So I'm going to have territories all the way around. I don't care where you live. If you can find my book on Amazon, you can buy it. We'll let them do the converting. If you use Japanese yen or Indian rupees, that's their problem. They'll sort that out for me. Or I could choose individual territories. No, this is specifically an English book for English people in England. I want to choose that territory, please, because it's about something very local to me. But I don't do that. I don't mind who buys my books. There's my primary marketplace again. And then it goes through and it says, well, I've worked this out. I want to sell that book on the internet for £12.99. If you've got a £10 note in your pocket, I'll sign one of them, you can have it. Because I don't have to have all the other costs as well that go with it. So £10 over there, but £12.99 on the internet. There's our printing costs of £4.42 in the next column. If you then take £4.42 off £12.99 and get whatever that comes to, my royalty rate is 60%. So I get 60% of that remaining amount. So I don't know what that is. £4.42, £12.99, who's quicker than me? But anyway, so about £7, half of £7, roughly. You can see 60% of that then makes me my £3.37. So I get £3.37 for every book that somebody buys on the internet. Now the 629 doesn't look so bad, does it? Okay. I've chosen another tick box at the top here. I'll point that out to you. That one there, expanded distribution. This is the one that says anybody like Waterstones in there or the bookshop down the road can buy the book from Amazon and sell it to a customer of theirs. I don't get so much royalty. I only get 78 pence for that. But you know what? That's 78 pence I didn't have before. And I sold one of those the other week. It just came up out of the blue and I thought, wow, okay, I'll live with that. It automatically calculates it down all the territories, so we don't have to worry about any of that. It does that for us. It gives us a quick terms and conditions. And I wish I could put the quality sticker on there. Request a book proof. Always request that book proof. You will get through the post, and it takes a couple of weeks, a book like that with draft or whatever written all over it. I've got them in my drawer at home, and it will have draft on some of the pages, so it can't be sold. But you've got a copy of the actual book to make sure it's correct. Never, ever, ever publish your changes without pressing that button and requesting the proof. So where it says publish at the bottom, and you've eaten all your biscuits and you've drunk all your coffee and you're wired and you want to press that button, hold back, because there will be something wrong in your manuscript that you won't see until you've got a physical book in your hands and you go, what? Really? That's how it works. The books are easy to read and stuff online. So don't press publish until you've requested that proof and got it through your door and had a good check at it. Sermon over. So you can see if I do all three of those and I press that publish button, or I make a change, then press the publish button, it will then go away and it will do that. I'm not going to press the publish button on this. And you can see what it does is it gives you a message there. Now that's live with unpublished changes, because if you notice halfway through that process it said saving. So it saved something that it thinks is a change, even though we have not made no changes. I'll sort that out later. Not going to do the ebook. Reason? It's exactly the same as doing the paperback, except you choose a different file to put in and you choose a different color cover. They're simply not interested in your page texture or anything like that, because you're not printing it. So in effect, the ebook is exactly the same but shorter. All right, that's it. That's how you publish. Now, I talked a lot in that, and I got through it in 20, 25 minutes, probably less than that, 15 minutes. That's how easy it is to do. Let's get that back up. I must start looking at the screen here. So having done that, printing costs. We talked about printing costs. They've got a calculator on Amazon. If you produce a book that's this size with this many pages, it will cost you this much for us to print it for you before you sell it. So you can work out what your list price is. Not true. Because I put exactly the same in for one of my books, and it came out that my royalty was 14 pence. Now I know it isn't 14 pence. How do I know? Because they tell me what it is as I sell books. If I were to get on my phone right now and look, it would tell me how many books I've sold today. On average, it's about 10, 12, 15 a week. Yeah, I know. Because look, that's not 2 times 14, is it? Of those 2 books there for the farm, it's £3.39. And I've actually had Kindle page reads, the people who've gone onto Kindle Unlimited and just browsed through books, reading pages. Every time they read one of my pages, I get paid half an American cent. And I've had 544 of those on that day already. So their calculator doesn't work. But you can see there is money in it if you know how to promote your work.
Are you sure it wasn't the size that made the difference? You go back and
I know they were different on those 2, sorry.
I think it's
Yeah.
to print the 6x9.
No, it isn't. It wouldn't make that much of a difference. I think the difference between the 5x8 and the 6x9 is about 30, 40 pence. Because they're cropping things and it's only the edge.
You can't trust that calculator.
You can't trust the calculator. The best thing to do is rely on Amazon. When you look at this subject online, everybody says they work it out correctly. Their sums are always right. So just rely on it. It's money. You're getting it. And once you put your book on there and you're doing your marketing, you figure it. You factor it in as a cost anyway. So just live with it. It all works. Cleverer men than I have worked out those calculations, and they're not like their print calculator. So last thing, really being paid. Yeah, we like that bit, don't we? I get paid via Amazon. They do all the collecting. Imagine they've got a till. That's all they are, is a shop front with a till that takes the money, and they apportion it between the people who've supplied it to them, the authors. They're going to need your bank details. I know sometimes people don't like doing that. I've never had a problem giving my bank details to Amazon. Except for Amazon Prime, of course, where they keep taking the money even after you stopped it. You receive all your royalties after all deductions. We've talked about printing costs. We've talked about distributors might want a bit. Amazon want their cut. All those are taken off before you receive a penny of it. So if it comes into your bank account, you can keep it. You don't have to worry about doing anything with it. Unless you're £4 million a year, then you have to start worrying about the inland revenue. Yeah. The US is slightly different. If you go through Amazon.com or you sell books on Amazon.com, their IRS get involved. All the guys in suits with the little wires coming out their ears and all that sort of stuff. They get involved and they say to you, you might be a taxpayer in the US. Therefore, we're going to withhold 30% of everything that's due to you. I got hit by that big time. I got on a train and I went down to the American Embassy in London with all my documents, and a woman interviewed me to check that I was who I was before stamping a piece of paper with the US Eagle crest, giving it back to me, and giving me an ITIN, an International Tax Identification Number. I have a tax account in America. The FBI have my details. Now, the thing about that is, every year they give you a statement that says, we've taken no withholding tax and we've taken no tax off you. So on the plus side, you've not lost anything to America. On the minus side, you have to talk to the Inland Revenue about it if it's above the earnings you should be making. That's your affair. I don't hit that ever because I'm now retired. I don't take any money. So I'm never above the tax-free allowance. I don't have to worry about that. If you've got foreign sales, if you sold to that little Japanese guy who likes reading English crime thrillers, they will convert everything to sterling. There is a conversion fee. On one book, it's so minuscule they don't even charge it. But on the amounts I make, if it's say 50 quid a month across this, they will charge about £1 per 50 quid to convert it to sterling so you get the money. Now that's going to be cheaper than having a bank account in every single country to get your money. So I don't worry about that. So then the fun begins. We've done all this work. It's on the internet. We set up our website. We go onto Facebook, and we do Facebook because we can. And we even go X brackets, formerly known as Twitter, and do some tweeting because it's fun, isn't it? And then we set up our Author Central stuff on Amazon so people can see our other books. And the final result of all that is, of all this work is, I'm right at the very top of Google. That's what you have to do after you've published your book. You have to get yourself noticed. And that's taken an awful lot of work, which I can't explain in this session. So you can see we've gone from fantastic, I finished my manuscript, all the way through everything we need to do to put a book in Amazon's bookshop. Okay? Oh, there are other things you can do as well. You can do TikTok. All by my own fair hands. So, if anybody wants to take a photograph of that, they can do. If they want to leave their email address with Val at the back, I will send that. That's a list of all the resources that will help you to do what I just described. This guy at the bottom is a guy called Dave Chesson. He used to be a US Marine. He is really, really, really good. He tells it like it is, and he gets you the secrets of the trade. But we've got the Author Central. We've got all the KDP stuff. We've got Fiverr for cover design. How you format your paperbacks and hardbacks. That goes to the KDP help screens that tell you all this. And we've got manuscript creation, which is a document I found that would talk about how you do that. But if you can either, as you say, photograph it here, or get Val to take your email address, and I'll send that through to you in the next few days. And that's it.
There's a way to do manuscript formatted. You go onto a site called Readsy, there's a free tool.
Yeah.
And I use that, and it's really simple.
Yeah. Well, I don't even use that anymore. That's the end of the presentation as it happens. But I'll show you what I use. And it won't be any surprise to anybody what I use. Let's get rid of all these first. Stop looking at the thing and look at the screen. So this is the new one that I'm writing at the moment. There it is. This was the, I'll go somewhere down there so we don't get anything too. This is Scrivener. So I use this here to outline my book. If you'd have come to the last one in Scotland, where were you? I would have told you how to do that. That's where I physically type the text. Over there is all my notes and stuff. And up here, if I go to there and there, I've got a compile button, which, having ticked what is actually a chapter and what is not, because there's a lot of gubbins in there as well, I can click that button and I'll save it. Let it get on with it. It does it for me. So I could go to Readsy and do it, or I could do it in this software.
Yeah, it's just what you find easy.
Yeah.
I found
Yeah.
Scrivener quite stick with words.
Storyist, Atticus,
Yeah, but
they do the same job. But this that's not what we're talking about.
no.
There are tools out there to help you. Don't struggle on your own like I did, because it's not worth it.
Just that Reads is free and it does a good job.
Martin and I were discussing about free earlier. If it's free, you get what you pay for. If you have to pay for it, you get what you expect.
Yeah. Atticus gives you a lot more options, but if you're just starting out,
Yeah.
and you want to do it on budget, Reads does do.
If you want to do it on a budget, there are loads and loads of things to do it. But again,
Well, for the technological challenge like Reads, yeah.
I've just shown you that this isn't drastically technical.
Oh, I tried doing it that way.
Yeah, it's not drastically technical, but you pays your money, you takes your choice, don't you?
What works for you.
The most important thing that I would point out to you again, and I'll bang on about it to my heart's content, is quality or quality. What do you want? Whatever you use to do it, you have to get the appropriate quality. He's got 6 reviews and given out his copies to his friends and neighbours. That one sold 400 books. Yeah, you have to decide. And okay, so there's some editing difference between that and that. This book is not particularly edited well. He went to an independent publisher who just took his money, didn't do any work on it. This editing's a lot better, but that's not why it sold. It sold because of the pictures on the front. That's why it sells. And if you want it to look like that, if you want it to look like L.J. Ross's books, quality matters. And however you achieve that is entirely up to you and your skills. And I appreciate it, yeah. But this is relatively easy process. How you get to your manuscript is the difficult bit, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I found it.
yeah.
I just pay it.
Yeah. Can you reveal what you pay? Would you?
Yeah, the full price is 300, but because I'm a member of the Romantic Novels Association,
Mm-hmm.
I get a discount. So
Yeah.
It's 240.
Yeah.
She has different price levels
Yeah.
depending on how complex it is.
Well, that was that Fiverr link. Fiverr is often frowned upon, but it's pulled its socks up in the last few years, and you get a lot of designers around the world who'll do this for you, or already have book covers written. They'll just put your title on it, or you can find a graphic designer who'll do it for you. It's all about what your budget is. I didn't want to spend a lot of money on this. I had other things like mortgages and stuff, and car payments and food that I wanted to spend my money on.
Play around with AI, try and create book covers and things. Which can do decent looking stuff
Mhm.
for quick, as long as you don't have any human hands in there, because they go out with 6 fingers. But if you sort of try it again and again, you often get very similar pictures. So you can,
Yep.
I think give it 6 months, everybody else will tell what's AI generated anyway.
So look at AI this way. If I tell you, in my head, I'll make it up, the only place you can get fast food from is McDonald's. Okay? It's in your head. The only thing you know about fast food is you get it from McDonald's. If I then told you, but old McDonald has a farm, E-I-E-I-O, you're now thinking, well, is that the same McDonald? Well, it must be. That's all we know. So all of a sudden, you're making a judgment based on the facts that you've been given. AI is the accumulated history of every query that's ever been made anywhere. So if you're writing a computer program, that's easy because computer programs follow a pattern. But if you're asking it to do something creative, like, can you give me a futuristic version of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs? I tried it. On AI, the first thing it said was, in a galaxy far, far away, which has been done. I had Agent X7 Snow in her space pod is sucked through a wormhole when she tries to avoid the evil astral union. Da-di-da-di-da. Because humans haven't put everything into AI to make it come up with the right answer yet. It can't be creative. It can only be creative within what it knows. Like pop music these days. Yeah. So I don't rely on AI at all. But I've had 40 years in IT, so I wouldn't. But anyway, that's the end of my presentation. So thank you very much. Oh, carry on. Yeah. An ISBN number is unique in the world. So my books have got an ISBN. If you get one free on Amazon, such as I did there, you can't sell it outside Amazon. But if you tick the fair enough. If you tick the expanded distribution box, Amazon can sell it to them. So they can still get it. And somebody walked into town and bought my book the other day through Waterstones. Yeah. If you go on to, say, Nielsen's, I think, they do a block book of ISBNs, and you can buy, I don't know what the cost is, I've never looked. Let's say 100 quid for 100 or something like that.
I think it's 300.
There you go. And you can use that ISBN anywhere you like. And that's why there was a box on the Create program for you to put that new ISBN number that you've obtained somewhere else. I just choose to do it this way because it's self-publishing. I want to do it the cheapest, easiest, quickest way. But your mileage may vary, and that's okay.
Can I ask? It's been a while since I've used PDP, but I've noticed the royalty used to be 70%.
There are two different royalty programs.
It used to be like 35% if it's a certain price, and then 70%. Whatever.
Now, if I put the ball under the cups and I move the cups around, can you tell me where the ball is, please? Amazon works a bit like that. So you've got two royalty plans. You've got a 35% plan and a 70% plan. I have got no idea exactly how they work out which is which. I always choose 70.
Yeah.
I think what they do is they base it on the size of the book. So if you've got a book which is bigger and you choose 35, you actually get less than 35. You get a lower royalty on it over a bigger book. If you choose 70, you get the percentage they're telling you, which paradoxically is 60.
Okay.
So it's a sum worked on the size of the book.
Right.
The complexity of the book.
About Amazon being like, because if you just go through Amazon, you're sort of at the mercy of Jeff Bezos a little bit. So if they start creeping down with those royalties, I suppose that's why I want to get your books in bookshops.
There's a huge amount of people who are arguing against Amazon making changes. Amazon do make changes. Those keywords and categories change all the time. But that's the way it is. Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, any questions before I say finished again?
The only one that was probably in my mind was if you distribute to other countries,
Yeah.
how does the copyright?
The copyright works. There is international copyright law respects the British copyright law. You don't have to do all these things that they try and kid you on Facebook and so on, that if you're American, you have to have a Library of Congress number and you have to lodge it with these people. You don't have to do that. You only have to do that if you're an American author in America. Yeah? Everyone respects the copyright. But throughout the whole of my time doing this and researching this, there is rarely ever anybody who will copy anybody else's book. There is nothing whatsoever stopping you from taking that book that I've got there and retyping it, changing the names and publishing it. Amazon might stop you because they'll pick up the fact that it's the same as my book. But there's nothing to stop you doing that. But in this country, we have a copyright law. And guess what? You know, I haven't got thousands of pounds to chase you. So you'll probably get away with it. But nobody does it. It's just not done. If you send your book off to publishers, they won't copy it. They'll just put it in the bin when they're finished with it. It's almost an agreement amongst the industry. Nobody copies anything else. It's plagiarism. They don't do that.
We find, so you're in Kindle Unlimited for page reads and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Do you find that worthwhile?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Is it sort of a discoverability?
Yes. More than anything, what it does is instead of people buying your book, they're browsing through lists of books and clicking on it, reading a few pages, moving on, reading a few pages, moving on. And if they hit yours and they read a few pages, you get paid. Did I close that down? No, I didn't. So let's go there. Today we haven't done much because America hasn't woken up yet. When America wakes up, we'll do a lot more. But you can see the wiggly wobbly line there. If I go to K&P Reds, you can see it makes quite a difference. Yesterday, what was that? 820 odd page reads. And you can see I've done more page reads today than I have sold books. It makes a difference. It might only be 10, 15 quid here and there a month, but it's 10 and 15 quid you never had before, and it doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to sign up to Kindle Prime. You don't have to pay your $9.99 a month. They're paying that for them. And because they're getting the books for free, Amazon is giving you 0.5 cent per page. And you can see it mounts up.
Also, you'd recommend the unlimited. The thing that puts me off a little bit is the exclusivity thing of not being able to sell it as an ebook anywhere else. I suppose
Yeah.
Amazon's the market.
Yeah. 35% of all self-published authors use Amazon, which doesn't sound a lot until you look at it the other way, and it says 70% of all books are sold on Amazon. Only 30% go through all the other shops that are around. And that alone says if you're gonna position your book, put it on Amazon, because you've got a 70% chance of it being seen. Whereas if it's in bookshops and nobody ever looks at that bookshop or goes to that shelf or looks at that particular thing, they won't ever see it. It'll never be anywhere. So I chose it simply because A, it's easy. I believe that's fairly easy. It's quick. It takes 72 hours to get it into the Amazon store, and they've got 70% of the audience out there. And I was clicking on page reads. People were getting page reads even though they weren't buying the book. I was making money just because they were browsing through. You know, that look inside. And then you got 5 pages. That's 5 pages that they're giving me money for. And that's what people do. That's how they work. For me, it's about getting those books in my hand, but it's also about exploring what I can do with them. Yeah. From my 6x6 bedroom. Yeah. So that's it. Thank you very much.